I still remember that night, the night that changed my life forever. It was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that makes you feel like something is about to happen, but you don't know what. If you are listening to my story, stay with me till the end, because what I found that night was something I never expected, and if you believe that every child deserves love, please subscribe to this channel, because stories like mine need to be heard. It was late at night, the clock on the wall showed almost midnight. I was sitting alone in my small house, just like every other night, the same routine, the same silence, the same emptiness. After my husband passed away, everything changed. My children moved away. They had their own lives, their own priorities, and slowly, I became a memory in their busy world. At first, they used to call, then, less often, and then, not at all. I stopped expecting, because expecting only brought pain. So I learned to live with silence, to sit alone, to talk to myself sometimes, just to feel like I still existed. That night was no different. I had just turned off the lights and was about to sleep when suddenly I heard something, a faint sound. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but then I heard it again, a soft, weak, crying sound. My heart skipped a beat. I sat up, listening carefully. There it was again, a baby's cry, coming from outside. For a moment, I froze. Who would leave a baby outside at this hour? Slowly, I stood up, my hands were trembling. I walked towards the door. Each step felt heavier than the last. The crying became clearer, louder, more desperate. I opened the door, and what I saw made my heart stop. There, on the ground, right outside my door, was a baby, wrapped in a thin cloth, shivering, crying alone. For a moment, I couldn't move. I just stood there, staring, trying to understand. If this was real, then the baby cried louder, and something inside me broke. I quickly bent down and picked the baby up. It was so small, so fragile, so cold. I held it close to my chest, trying to warm it. It's okay, I'm here. My voice was shaking. I looked around. The street was empty. No one, no footsteps, no sound. Whoever left this child was gone. Gone. Without looking back, I brought the baby inside, closed the door, and sat down. Still holding it tightly, the baby slowly stopped crying, as if it felt safe, as if it knew it was no longer alone. Tears filled my eyes, because in that moment, I saw myself alone, forgotten, left behind. I whispered softly, "Who could do this to you?" I looked at the baby carefully. It was a little girl, her tiny hands holding onto my finger, her breathing slowly calming down. But then, I noticed something. There was something tucked inside the cloth, a small folded paper. My hands froze. I slowly opened it. Inside, there was a note, a short message, written in a hurry. My eyes moved over the words, and my heart began to pound. "Please take care of her. She is not safe with us. Don't try to find us." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. Not safe. What did that mean? Who would write something like this and leave a child behind? My mind was full of questions, fear, confusion, but at the same time, a strange feeling began to grow inside me, a feeling I had not felt in years. Purpose. I looked at the baby again. She was asleep now, peaceful, holding on to my hand, like she didn't want to let go. And in that moment, I made a decision without thinking, a decision from my heart. I will not leave you. I will not let you feel what I felt. Because I knew that pain, the pain of being forgotten, the pain of being alone, the pain of waiting for someone who never comes. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat there, watching her, making sure she was warm, safe, alive. Every small movement, every breath, made me anxious. Because I had nothing, but I had her now, and she had no one but me. The next morning, the reality began to settle in. What would I do now? How would I take care of her? Should I inform someone? Should I go to the police? My mind was filled with questions, but my heart had already decided. She was not just a child left at my door. She was now my responsibility, and somehow, she had filled the emptiness in my life. Days passed. Slowly, I started adjusting. I bought milk, clothes, whatever little I could afford. It wasn't easy, but every time she smiled, every time she held my hand, I felt something I had forgotten. Happiness, real happiness, the kind that comes not from comfort, but from connection. But deep inside, one question never left me: who left her, and why? And what did that note really mean? She is not safe. Those words kept repeating in my mind. like a warning. Like something was not over yet, and then, one day, something happened that made me realize this was just the beginning. What I discovered next changed everything. Asterisk, and from that day, my life was no longer the same. The silence in my house had changed. It was no longer empty. It was filled with soft cries, tiny breaths, and a presence that made me feel alive again. Every morning, I woke up not to loneliness, but to responsibility, a small life that depended on me. First, everything felt new. I had forgotten what it felt like to take care of someone, to wake up in the middle of the night because of a cry. To rush, to hold, to comfort. But slowly, I started learning again. I warmed milk carefully. I wrapped her in soft cloth to keep her warm. I would sit for hours, just watching her sleep. Because every time I looked at her, I felt something I thought I had lost forever. A reason to live. I didn't even realize when she stopped being just a baby I found, and became my baby. I started calling her Ina. I don't know why, but that name felt right. Simple, soft, and full of meaning. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, my small house began to feel like a home again. I would talk to her, even when she didn't understand. Tell her stories of my past, of my life, of things I had never told anyone. And she would just look at me, with those small eyes, as if she was listening, as if she understood. But deep inside, something was always there. A question, a fear, a feeling that something was not right. That note, "She is not safe," those words never left me. Sometimes, at night, I would sit quietly, looking at her, sleeping peacefully, and I would wonder, what danger was she saved from? Who were her parents? And why would someone leave their own child like this? One evening, I was sitting near the window, holding Ina, when I noticed something strange. A car, parked across the street. It had been there for a long time. At first, I ignored it, but then, I saw something that made my heart stop. There was someone inside, watching, not moving, not leaving, just watching. My hands tightened around Ina. A strange fear began to rise inside me. I quickly closed the curtains, locked the door, and sat down, trying to calm myself. Maybe it's nothing, I told myself. Maybe I'm just but my heart didn't agree. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every small sound felt louder. Every shadow felt darker. And I kept thinking about that car. The next morning, it was gone. For a moment, I felt relief. Maybe it really was nothing. Maybe I was just scared. But that feeling didn't go away. Days passed. Things returned to normal. Or at least, it seemed like it. Until one afternoon, there was a knock on my door. My heart started racing. I wasn't expecting anyone. Slowly, I walked towards the door, holding Ina close to me. I opened it slightly. A man was standing there, well-dressed, calm, but something about him didn't feel right. "Are you living here alone?" He asked that question again. The same question. My grip tightened. "Yes," I replied carefully. He looked inside, trying to see more. Then his eyes moved to Ina. For a moment, his expression changed. Just for a second, but I noticed. "Is that your granddaughter?" he asked. I hesitated. "Yes," I said quietly. He smiled, but it didn't feel real. It felt forced. "Interesting," he said. Then he stepped back. "Take care," he added, and walked away. I stood there, frozen. Something was wrong. Very wrong. I quickly shut the door, locked it, and sat down, holding Ina tightly. My heart was beating fast. That man, the car, the note, everything was connected. I could feel it. And then, I looked at Ina again, her tiny face, her peaceful breathing, and suddenly, fear turned into something else. Protectiveness. I whispered softly. "No one will take you from me, no matter what." From that moment, I became more careful. I stopped going out often. I kept the doors locked. I watched everything, every sound, every movement, because I knew this was not over. One night, as I was putting Ina to sleep, I heard something. A sound. Outside the house. Soft, but clear. Footsteps. Slow. Careful. My body froze. I held Ina close, not making a sound. The footsteps came closer, then stopped. Right outside my door. I could hear breathing. Someone was there, standing, just outside, waiting. My heart felt like it would stop. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just sat there, in complete silence. And then, there was a soft knock. Not loud, not aggressive, just Slow. Deliberate. I didn't respond. The knock came again, slightly louder this time, and then, a voice. Low. Cold. We know she's inside. My blood ran cold. I held Ina tighter. My hands were shaking, my mind was racing. Who were they? How did they know? What did they want? The voice came again. Open the door. But I didn't move. I couldn't, because in that moment, I understood something clearly. This was not random. This was not a coincidence. This baby was not just abandoned. She was being hidden, protected, saved, and now, someone was trying to take her back. And I knew I could not let that happen, no matter what, because she was no longer just a child. She was my child. And what I did next was something I never imagined I would have the courage to do, but it changed everything. I sat there, holding Ina tightly in my arms. My heart was beating so fast, I could barely breathe. Outside the door, someone was standing, waiting, watching. And they knew. They knew she was inside. The voice came again. Open the door. We don't want any trouble. Trouble. That word echoed in my mind. Because I knew. This was not something small. This was danger. Real danger. I looked at Ina. She was asleep, unaware, peaceful, and in that moment, I made a decision. No matter what happens, I will protect her, even if it costs me everything. I slowly stood up, trying not to make any noise. My hands were shaking, but my mind was clear. I moved towards the back of the house. There was a small door leading outside. I had not used it in years, but that night, it became my only way out. The knocking at the front door grew louder, more aggressive. Open the door, the voice shouted. I didn't respond. I quietly opened the back door, stepped outside, holding Ina close to my chest, and closed it behind me. The night was dark, cold, silent, but I didn't stop. I walked, quickly, as fast as I could, not looking back, not thinking, just moving, because I knew, if I stopped, even for a second, I might lose her. After a few minutes, I reached the street. It was empty, no cars, no people, just darkness. I kept walking, until I saw a small light. In the distance, a house. I walked towards it, my legs trembling, and knocked on the door. An elderly man opened it. He looked surprised. Please, I said, my voice shaking, help me. He didn't ask questions. He just stepped aside, and let me in. That night, I stayed there safe. For the first time since everything started, I felt like I could breathe again. The next morning, I told him everything from the night I found Ina, to the men outside my door. He listened carefully. Then he said something that changed everything. You need to go to the police. For a moment, I hesitated. What if they took her away? What if I lost her? But then, I realized something. This was bigger than me, bigger than fear. This child was in danger, and hiding would not protect her forever. So I agreed. We went to the police station. I told them everything, every detail, the note, the car, the man, the night. They listened carefully, and then, they told me something that made my heart stop. This child, the officer said slowly, is not an ordinary child? I felt my breath freeze. What do you mean? I asked. He looked at me, seriously. She is the daughter of a very powerful man. My hands tightened around Ina. A powerful man. Then why would someone leave her like that? The officer continued. Her father is involved in illegal activities. Very dangerous ones. And there are people who want to use her to control him. My heart sank. So, she was not abandoned, I whispered. The officer shook his head. No, she was hidden, protected. Those words hit me deeply. Suddenly, everything made sense. The note. She is not safe. The people outside. The fear. She wasn't left because she wasn't loved. She was left because someone loved her enough to save her. Tears filled my eyes. I looked at Ana. She was still asleep, peacefully, unaware of everything. The officer continued. We will take her into protection. That sentence felt like a knife. Take her away from me. My heart broke, but I took care of her. I said softly. I protected her. I can't let her go. The officer looked at me with understanding. I know, and you did the right thing. But she needs security, protection, that you cannot provide alone. I stayed silent. Because I knew he was right, but that didn't make it easier. Days passed. The police arranged protection. The people who came that night were caught. The danger was gone. But something else was about to happen. The day came when I had to say goodbye. I held Ina in my arms. One last time, her tiny fingers wrapped around mine, just like the first night. Tears rolled down my face. Not loudly, not dramatically, just silently, because some goodbyes are too heavy for words. I whispered softly, "You were never alone, and you will never be." They gently took her from my arms, and just like that, she was gone. The house became silent again. The same silence, the same emptiness, but this time, it felt different because I knew I had done something meaningful. I had protected her, saved her, loved her, even if only for a short time. Days turned into weeks. Life slowly returned to normal. Or at least, it tried to. But something inside me had changed forever. One afternoon, there was a knock on my door. My heart paused. For a moment, memories came rushing back. I walked slowly and opened the door. A man was standing there, well-dressed, respectful. He looked at me and said, "Are you the one who saved my daughter?" My heart stopped. "Saved my daughter," he continued. "I am her father." Tears filled my eyes. He stepped forward and said softly, "I can never repay what you did. You saved her life. I want to thank you, not with words, but with something meaningful." I stayed silent, because I didn't expect anything. I never did. He handed me something, a small envelope. I looked at it, then at him. "I don't need anything," I said. He smiled gently. "This is not payment. This is respect." I slowly opened it. Inside, there was a document. My eyes widened. It was for a house, a small, beautiful house, in my name. For a moment, I couldn't speak. Tears fell from my eyes. Not because of the house, but because, for the first time, someone valued me, not for what I had, but for what I did. He said softly, "You gave my daughter a second life. And now, I want you to live yours, with dignity." I looked at him, and nodded, because sometimes, life takes everything away, just to give you something better. If you are listening to my story, please remember this. Not every loss is an ending. Sometimes, it is the beginning of something greater, and sometimes, a small act of kindness can change everything. If my story touched your heart, please subscribe to this channel, because there are many stories waiting to be heard.